Greetings and welcome to a new set of tarot readings. This month we will be looking at Break Out of a Rut Spread from Sasha Graham's 365 Tarot Spreads. This one here is, according to the author, based on the fact that the Roman Catholic Church dedicates today to all the souls currently residing in purgatory. Purgatory is generally understood as the boundary between heaven and hell, and it is the temporary and often uncomfortable waiting place for those souls who need purification before entering in heaven. And so, um, the purpose of this spread is to help to see where you're stuck. I guess it's connecting to purgatory in the sense that people that are in purgatory are kind of stuck there. There's no sense of time, there's no sense of how long you're going to be stuck there. And until you can move up or down out of there, um, you're stuck, literally. I guess it's kind of like soul prison, according to the Catholic Church. Now, this spread is going to help to look at where you're stuck in life and where you might be feeling like you're in limbo. And it says the questions are designed to help you break free. So anyone who at this point is feeling a bit stuck, and it tends to be, I think, a very familiar feeling around this time of the year as we move in towards the holidays and, towards a new year, people often will start to spend a lot of time reflecting on where they are, where they're going. Or if you're like me in general, you kind of wake up every day going, I feel a little bit stuck. I need some direction. This spread has 8 cards in it, and we will try to see what kind of insights we can get on where we're stuck and how to get unstuck over the next month. So think of a place or think of a way that you feel stuck in your life, a problem you might be running into that is keeping you from moving forward. And we'll see what the cards have to say in order to move beyond this. Spell out. Now we'll pick our cards. We'll spread the deck. All right, and 8 cards. Similar to last month's spread, they go in a ladder heading upwards. So hopefully it's kind of like that idea of working your way out of purgatory and up towards something. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. The first question for this spread is, what am I avoiding? A lot of times that's why we end up being stuck, is because we are avoiding the next step. We are avoiding the difficult choice. We're avoiding the anything that makes us feel uncomfortable. No surprise here that we have the Nine of Swords as what we are avoiding. And the Nine of Swords is talking about everything external to us that causes anxiety within us. It's different from the Eight of Swords that's all about fear and how we allow fear to immobilize ourselves. What the Nine of Swords is about is it's about where we see kind of the external boogeyman and what are the situations that we're dealing with that literally will wake us up in the middle of the night and fill us with fear and dread. So, thinking about the situation and how you might be stuck in your life, look at the places where you're afraid to take the next step. It could be fear of judgment, it could be fear that the unknown is out there and it's hard to say. Because she's kind of floating up in space, it's also that fear that whatever you do next, there's no clear ground beneath you. And so it is very much connected to taking a leap of faith with whatever the next step is. And so if you've had times where you've kind of moved forward blindly and had negative things happen, it will make you a lot more resistant and a lot more fearful to do that. But because we're avoiding it means that until we actually take that next step, until we actually move beyond this and see, kind of like when Dorothy and them, they pulled the curtain back and they saw that it was just a man behind the curtain. It's kind of like that's what you have to do is you have to pull the mask off of whatever the boogeyman is that you're facing and that you're afraid of to see that it is just another step. It is just another thing to have to deal with. And that by doing that, finding the courage and the the courage, yeah, to move forward, that's going to help you to be able to take the next step. The next one is, what am I gaining by remaining in stasis? This is interesting because a lot of times when we're afraid to take the next step, it's can be because we're afraid of what's going to happen, but a lot of times it's because we're afraid of what we're going to give up. These are sometimes called like secondary identities, and these are the stories that we hide behind that explain why we can't take the story. And it's because if we don't take the next step, then we lose. We have to give up that story, and then we don't know what's going to be there. And so right now we have the Ace of Cups. And by remaining in stasis, you can kind of stay lost in this imaginary, illusionary, daydreamy kind of place because when you take the next step, what you're doing is you're taking a next step to bringing things into reality, right? You're working towards manifesting whatever the goal is, whatever the project is that you're working on. And as long as you're avoiding that step, then you can still stay in that creative, dreamy bubble of ideas and of feeling. So when you're in this place, in the sense of how the question is um, what you're gaining by staying here is the ability to be perfect. And what I mean by that is, as long as you're living this ideal of a dream and you're holding this dream in front of you and saying, this is what I'm going for, this is what I'm aiming for, this is what I want, and you're not taking the step, then it's pure, it's pristine. It hasn't been tainted by our beliefs of failure. It hasn't been broken down by the judgment of others. It hasn't been um, you know, the innocence of it hasn't been taken away. I like to kind of think of the Ace of Cups in this situation as this is the young child that's dreaming of being able to fly and being able to play with magic and befriend dragons, right? This is that person before they're told dragons don't exist and you can't fly and you have to go out and you have to get a job, right? So that's what part of what why we're kind of stuck in this thing is that, well, what happens if I grow up, right? What happens to Peter Pan when he decides to grow up and leave Neverland? We've seen it in Hook, right? Like that's kind of what happens to him. And so it's really hard when there is that loss of innocence that seems to be connected to it, right? Like if you have that perfect dream, that perfect idea of what you want to do, then any next step opens up the possibility for criticism. It opens up the possibility for cracks in that dream. And eventually, um, it kind of becomes something tainted, something darker. The next one we have is, do I blame others for my circumstances? This one's kind of interesting because a lot of times when we're in a victim mentality, we will blame anyone and anything. And so right now we have the Queen of Wands. And what we're looking at is, like when we're asking, like, do I blame others for my circumstances? The Queen of Wands can be, for lack of a better terms, like a bit bitchy when she's kind of in that lower energy of her. And so there are probably people that are being blamed for the situation you're in. And whether you're blaming people in your lives that are like a little bit bitchy, that are kind of hot-headed, or whether that's your personality, and because that's the personality you have, you're finding faults and that in everybody around you. And so, for instance, like if you're a perfectionist and you have things that you want to work out a different way, then you're blaming all the people around you that don't share your passion, that aren't as motivated as you, that are, falling short. They're unable to bring the project through to fulfillment the way that they might have said that they would in the beginning. Or again, if it's other people on the other side that are showing that negative side of the Queen of Wands, then you're blaming other people because they might be caught up in their own passions, or they might be doing things wrong, or they might be going too far ahead. Whatever it is, there is a sense of blame that is being placed outside of yourself. And as I said, whether it's because of your personality and how you're viewing others, or whether it's how you feel others are treating you, there's definitely a lot of blame. And that blame is rooted in a lot of anger and jealousy. And so it's very important to kind of keep an eye of where that's going on, because what that is doing is it's taking energy and focus away from the actual project and actually moving forward. And it's keeping you really, really stuck in those old patterns. The next one we have is, how is fear affecting my decisions? And here we have the Chariot. This is our first major arcana card of this spread. And it's interesting that it's here because you have fear and hope kind of both in them, right? Like I see this as more the fear side and this is more the hope side. And so as these cards are as these horses are opposite direction, that's how your fear is impacting what you're doing. It's almost impossible to make any forward progress because you're being pulled in two different directions. There's the hope, right, of the Ace of Cups, that this dream that you have is going to eventually be manifested and become reality, and it's going to be beautiful, it's going to be wonderful. But then there's the fear, which comes with the Nine of Swords. So this card here is kind of blending the two of them together to say, you know what? The reason why you're stuck in this rut is because you're so torn right down the middle between what you want and what you're afraid to do. Between what you feel can happen and what you're afraid will happen. And because of that, you're at this crossroad. And until you can overcome the fear or until you're ready to give up on the dream, nothing's going to change. And it's a decision that you're going to have to make because the only way that you can move away from this current situation is to come to a consensus within your whole, right? You need to stop being torn in two different directions. You need to stop having this constant yes no battle going on because nothing's going to give until you finally are able to, in your heart, come to a decision that is going to, excuse me, that is going to make sure that whatever happens is going to happen based on a focused and kind of like soul agreement that you have with yourself, right? Your head and your heart at this point have to come together and be either for the project or against the project, but they both need to be in the same place. The next one we have is, what beliefs do I cling to that are no longer true? And here we have the Three of Wands. So the biggest belief right now that's keeping you stuck is that everyone else can do it but you. And here you have him kind of standing abandoned on the side of the ocean with everybody you would think is up partying up in the air balloon. And, looking, because we have the back to it, there's kind of like this idea that he's looking up towards the airship. Now, whether he's looking up and he's looking with longing or anger or happiness because he's there or not there, that's your expression. But the thing is when you're looking at the beliefs that are holding you in place, that's the belief. The belief is that, no matter what I have, no matter who I am, no matter what I do, I'm never as good as anyone else. And so these are things that other people do. These are things that other people are deserving of. These are things that other people can manifest and I can't. So I feel left out. I feel alone. I feel invisible. And here I am. I'm going to get knocked off my little rock here by the ocean waves. And, because I'm here and I'm alone, I'm unforgettable. Those are a lot of really hard beliefs to have when you're stuck because they just keep you rooted. When you tell yourself that no matter what I do, I can never amount to what someone else is doing, then you're just going to basically keep yourself there. You're not going to be taking those risks. You're not going to be kind of moving forward. And then you really remain kind of stuck in this Nine of Swords energy of, I don't know what's going to hold me up. I don't know what's going to support me. And, every time I try, I just fail at it. And there's going to be somebody out there that's watching me. There's going to be somebody out there that's going to be looking at all the mistakes that I do. And so I might as well just stay here and watch everybody else soar off to their adventures. The next one is, how do I break out of this rut? So here's kind of the pivotal thing of, how do I break out of this rut? And interestingly enough, now we have the King of Wands. So the Queen of Wands is very much kind of that petty, bitchy, angry energy, whether it's coming from you or whether it's coming from others. Only you and your situation will be able to know. But the King of Wands comes out and he's very much a mentor. He is one who has gone through all of the pettiness, who has gone through all of the different situations, has struggled with his passions, has struggled with his desire, has struggled with his motivations, and is in a position now where he understands what needs to feed his passions, what need to feed his desire, and how to keep those flames burning well enough so that, he can keep being motivated without burning himself out or without having to burn up all of his resources. And one of the things that the King of Wands is really good at is seeing that in others, right? Seeing the potential, seeing the beauty in others, and teaching them how to keep their passion flames alive and how to feed their desires in a healthy way. And so when we're looking at how do I break out of this rut, one of the best ways that you can do this when you're dealing with the King of Wands is you can find someone who understands you and who is willing to motivate you in the way that you need to be motivated, because that's what the King of Wands does. King of Wands can look at you, analyze you and know exactly what's going to be motivational for you. So for instance, if you have a mentor who's a King of Wands and you happen to be intrinsically motivated, they're going to know exactly what kind of prompting to give you. If you're extrinsically motivated, they're going to know exactly what kind of rewards to offer you in order to get you to be motivated. They're also going to teach you how to work with your energy, with your power, with your resources so that you can leverage them in a sustainable way. And sometimes, as with the Queen of Wands, right? It can be characteristics within you, or it can be people or situations that you're dealing externally. In this situation, I believe that the King of Wands is indicating that there's a mentor close to you, or that you're going to find in the relative future that is going to be the one that's going to help inspire you to take the actions that the Nine of Swords is keeping you from taking, so that you can actually start to take the steps forward that's going to allow that Ace of Cups to manifest and make it at least to the two, right? And at the two of cups is a combination, a coming together of like-minded souls in a way that's very much a creative powerhouse. And so the King of Wands has the potential to connect you also with those people that are going to be your creative muses, and maybe like your mastermind group. What specific opportunities should I look for? And so we've got a lot of people going on today. So now we have the King of Pentacles. And what this is going to do is that, and it could come from the King of Wands, right? Like if you can move beyond the pettiness of the Queen of Wands, and if you can focus yourself on one goal and really work towards that, if you can shift the belief that everyone else can do it but me, once you find your mentor, right, you have to go through those three steps before the mentor will be ready to appear. But once the mentor appears, one of the things that he's going to bring into mind to you is like the people and the resources that you can leverage, right? So I was just talking about that with the King of Wands, is that he's going to be able to show you the people and the way to leverage yourself and your resources in a sustainable way. And that's what the King of Coins is going to do, right? So the opportunities that you need to look for are the opportunities that are going to allow you to use your mastery of the things that you have learned over your life to be able to create a really, really solid foundation. Also, you're going to maybe want to look to connecting to people who are within, say, the business community, who are within the financial community, that have opportunities that will be able to help you. It may be time to start looking at someone that you can trust that's going to help you with money management, or that's going to help you find a location, or that's going to help you physically get into a different routine. And the thing with the King of Pentacles is this is somebody that is the master of their game. They're at the top. They know the most about the physical side of whatever it is that you're doing. And even if it's something that might appear small, so for instance, you want to start changing how you're eating, right? The King of Wands would be someone who has worked really long and hard with nutrition and is able to work with you and understands how different bodies work and understands how metabolism works. And they're going to be able to work with you in order to create a program that is going to be just for you. Because that's the other thing you want to make sure that when you're meeting your King of Pentacles or Kings of Pentacles that you might have be bringing in and working with, is that everything is tailored to you. It's going at your pace, it's going slowly, so that every point of contact you can check to see if what you're doing is sustainable. Now, the King of Pentacles may also be talking to you about you in the sense of the opportunities that you're looking for are the opportunities to put your mastery out in the world. So let's say you're the nutritionist and you're looking to start a business and you're stuck, then your expertise is what is going to be led for you, right? The King of Pentacles is going to say, you just need to put your expertise out there, and then you just have to wait and see what happens. But you have to trust that you have what you need to be able to move forward. The last one we have is, how do I take a small, meaningful step forward? So I think we're going to be picking up from the King of Pentacles here. And now we have the Nine of Cups. And it's interesting because, like I said, there's been a lot of people that we've had in this spread. And the Nine of Cups is community building, I think, at its highest. Because what you have here is you have the cup in front of the sign is this indication of people at a restaurant or a bar or a meeting place, and they're having like this toast and they're celebrating something. And to me, the Nine of Cups has always been this indication of being with your people, and being with your people of the heart, right? Not just being with family that are blood related, that to me is more pentacle side of it because it's an actual physical connection. But these are like the people of your heart. These are the people that and the communities that you have sought out, that you have found. And so one of the best ways to help to break out of a rut, and a small step that you can take, is to start actually moving beyond what you have right now and start looking for new communities. And you want to find communities that are maybe established, or to start establishing your own community where you're inviting people in to be part of what you're building. Now, one of the interesting things is when I was shuffling the cards, I thought it was one, but it ended up being two cards that fell out. And what they were was the King of Cups and the Nine of Wands. And so we've had a lot of cups and wands coming out today, because other than the Chariot, which is a major arcana card, and the Nine of Swords, everything, oh, sorry, and the King of Pentacles, everything else has been wands and cups. And so to me, one of the things that I think that this is indicating is that your energy and your emotions and your creativity and your passions, these are the things that are going to get you out of the rut that you're in. These are the things that you need to really look at and really harness, because as long as you are kind of beating yourself against the wall, right? Because the Nine of Wands here is an indication of nearing burnout, I would say. He's kind of huddled himself together. He's got all the wands down in the bottom, and he really doesn't look like he wants to move. He doesn't want to do anything. And so that's kind of, to me, what happens when you get all of your energy. It can be bottlenecked, it can be stuck in some way, and everything feels like it's so, so hard to do. And by staying in a rut, that's what's happening, is the energy is getting stagnant, it's getting sticky, it's getting heavy. It needs to be cleared out. I was once told that, like, so if you have a vehicle, right, that you should take your vehicle out every now and then and just kind of gun it so that you can clean the engine out. So it's kind of like that, right? Like where you just want to be able to run things at a really, really high level, clear the system out. And then you have the King of Cups, who happens to be the third king that has come out today. And the King of Cups is someone who is very much well balanced emotionally. They understand their creative flow, and they understand how to bring that out of others. And this is going to be an indication that you're looking a lot, between the three kings that came out today, you're going to be looking for a very well-rounded mentor. I really feel that the kings today are pointing more outwardly than they are inwardly, whereas the queen is pointing inwardly. And the more I think about it, the more I think that the Queen of Wands might be pointing to the fact that others are being blamed, and not necessarily justifiably, but because there's frustration in being stuck and having the stories of saying, well, I have this idea, there's all these things I want to do. And then the frustration builds when nothing's happening. And so the Queen of Wands starts to come in and say, starts to get angry, and she's very reactive, right? Like she will very much be explosive, and so starts to blame other people to say, look, I'm here, I'm ready, what's the matter with you, why aren't you getting everything done? Because I'm here and I'm ready. And so the Queen of Wands, I believe, is the internal piece, is where we are struggling. And then the kings are these mentors, and they can be masculine, they can be feminine. These mentors are coming. They're waiting in the sides just to come in. They're there, they're ready. And what needs to happen really is that focus needs to come, and the ability to move beyond that story of everyone else but me. And once that starts to move and that energy starts to shift, the mentors will start to come. And when the mentors come, they're going to offer all the advice, all the resources. And then once you reach that sustainability and you're able to start to create that group, because the group's going to allow the energy to keep going. It's going to allow everything to circulate. It's going to allow the ideas to grow. And it's going to basically just be able to create a very beautiful, sustainable place and situation that, you know, breaking out of this rut is, there's nothing that's going to be able to stop it. It's an inevitability if you can move beyond kind of the pettiness and the reactivity of that Queen of Wands, because she's kind of, when I look at it, you've got like these two that are in front of her, these two that are behind her, and so she's kind of that pivot point, right? Like she's that middle point. So it feels very much like the best way to break out of this rut at this time is to understand where you're being so reactive in your life, and in this, especially in regards to this situation, because that reactivity is putting, we'll say, blame on other people, but really what it's doing is it's keeping you from being able to take the responsibility and to accept the consequences of the actions that have come before you, and to be able to resolve those issues. And then once you resolve those issues, I feel that there's really going to be a lot of clarity that comes from that, because once the fire is gone, once the reactivity is gone, and everything seems to kind of cool down and burn at a more natural pace without that burnout, because that's what happens with the Queen of Wands, is when she's upset is she'll burn everything out, and then you have to basically wait to restock those resources, and then she'll burn it out again. And that's the cycle that really kind of needs to be stopped at this point for you to be able to move beyond where you're stuck, and to be able to open up to the opportunities that both the King of Wands and the King of Pentacles are going to bring. And so with that, I hope you enjoyed this spread. I hope it gives you a bit of clarity on how to get out of any rut that you're in right now, and that you will come back and join me next week when I do my deep dive review of the spread from 365 Tarot Spreads. So in the meantime, take care, like, subscribe, and I will see you next week.